So I've created a small, small PPT here, consisting of few slides covering what are the topics we should cover. As far as my experience have been with working over 5.5 years in data engineering domain and giving more than 30 to 40 interviews across all service based and product based companies. I've just summarized what are the topics one should be very proficient with, and what are the topics that can be covered in an extended fashion. Okay, so talking about what the foundation topics we should cover if we are aspiring to become a data engineer is, the first thing goes with SQL, and it's basically not just SQL; it's the complete database management systems. Maybe SQL and maybe no SQL, both of them, and not just writing queries, but understanding the execution of SQL queries, understanding how data modeling takes place, understanding how you keep data in which format, what should be the structure of it, how you should normalize, denormalize the tables. So complete understanding of database management from the SQL and the NoSQL point of view. So that's why I've mentioned the first topic to cover is SQL, NoSQL, data warehousing, and data modeling techniques. Okay. So when you go to interview, this is mostly as per how I have taken interviews in my own company. When I'm hiring, I take generally the first or the second round sometimes in my own organization. So I generally ask people to solve, first of all, explain their project, and then I start with solving SQL problems, Python problems with them. Once they are good with that, the third thing is to know about ETL and ELT, how to design those pipelines is the third part. And then I have written distributed systems as the fourth one. So understanding Hadoop, Hive, how a distributed framework works, MapReduce. I've not mentioned MapReduce here, but it was the previous very popular framework for big data domain, and then Apache Spark. Okay, so these five things I believe is really the backbone of data engineering. And if you don't understand these five things well, I think somewhere we are lagging. Okay, people sometimes say that they have worked on Snowflake, they know Snowflake, they have written queries there, but if they don't understand how distributed systems work, I think they might not be able to optimize on things, become efficient on things. So understanding of distributed is a must for a data engineer. Okay, and then the current most utilized technology across the big data domain and even ML domain is Apache Spark, right? Spark can handle both structured and unstructured streaming data. So basically, if you are doing batch processing, if you are doing streaming processing, both can be handled by Spark, right? Uh, if I talk about how the interviews mostly are conducted, the first round is kind of a screening round, right? The first round is basically a screening round where the interviewer screens you on the basis of your knowledge on SQL and Python. Python includes the libraries of Python like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, all those libraries, and data structures and algorithms as well. Okay, it doesn't go to very high, hard level. It goes from easy to medium level, right? So if I honestly explain, mostly the topics are strings, lists, linked list, sometimes trees at max, unless you go to very specific companies like Uber. They might ask you questions on graph, otherwise not. Otherwise it stays to the level of the medium level. They're going to ask you DSA problems. um yep. Any doubts anyone having on this slide? Because this is what the foundation of data engineering has to be. The first topic here is, seems like a very straightforward topic, but it is not. People say that, often I take interviews and people say that they can rate themselves 7 out of 10 in SQL, and when I ask questions regarding joins, regarding uh, window functions, aggregate functions, they are stuck there. So when you are preparing SQL, make sure you understand each and everything. Also the stored procedures, also the triggers, views, functions, everything in and out of SQL has to be prepared. It is non-negotiable, right? Without SQL, it cannot go ahead. NoSQL, you can learn any of the NoSQL, maybe MongoDB, uh, or any document based NoSQL you can use, right? So any NoSQL technology is good to know. Okay. Data warehousing, I told you about the normalization, denormalization things, right? Okay, I think we are good with this. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, what are the further topics to cover? System design, a very big yes, for those having more than 4 and 5 years of experience. And system design, not only entails designing of microservices, it also entails um, designing of databases, right? So database design. For example, I have been asked this question in interview a lot, that let's say if you have to design an application for Zomato, what how will you design the database for that? What will be the tables you plan to keep? How their primary keys, foreign keys are going to join with each other? Um, Everything like end-to-end database design is a must thing to know for a data engineer, right? So whenever you apply for a good product-based company, or any high-end consultings like McKinsey, Bain, uh, Boston Consulting Group, Deloitte, even they'll ask you questions on database design. How will you design database? But these are meant for someone having experience for more than 4 and 5 years. Anything in under 4 years, they're not going to ask you questions on system design or no database design. Okay. Then comes DevOps. DevOps again is, I hope you all understand what DevOps is. Basically, CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development. So they want you to know about how you will deploy things into each and every environment. They will like to understand how your previous project had different layers, different environments. How were you deploying things from one environment to another? Um, what kind of tools were you using? Were you using any GitHub, Bitbucket, any versioning tool? What was the tool for doing CI/CD? Was it Jenkins? Was it any tool on cloud like Azure DevOps, GitHub Actions, anything? Right. So that knowledge has to be there on DevOps. Then the third thing goes Kafka. Very useful within the companies who are working on event-based stuff, right? Event-based messaging systems. So understanding of Kafka comes into play at that point of time. Okay. So as I mentioned here, right, these are the further topics to cover. The first target should be to complete these 5 topics. Okay. Once you are done with this, you should move on to this, right? Sometimes people come and ask me in the mentor sessions that, can I do a certification on cloud directly? Okay, can I learn AWS, Azure, or GCP? Okay, but to them I say, unless you understand these foundational topics, there's no use of doing a certification on Azure. There's no use of doing a certification on GCP, because you might be able to pass the certification as well, but cloud is nothing but a rental services, the rental infrastructure service provided to you at a certain cost, right? It's just a rental service. It's at the back end, these 5 things are actually working, right? If we talk about AWS EMR, it is nothing but a distributed framework like Hadoop. Okay. If we talk about Databricks, at the backend, it is running Spark. It is running Spark runtime versions, and it is executing Spark jobs, right? So if we talk about AWS Lambda or Azure Functions, at the backend, we are writing either Python codes, mostly Python codes, or .NET codes. Okay, and those are getting executed. So understanding of these topics are must, and then we should move on to either cloud or Databricks or Snowflake. These are the further topics to learn about. Okay. So as I was explaining about Kafka, this is mainly meant, uh, when we're in projects where they are doing event-based trigger, they have messaging based systems, right? So they use Kafka a lot. Although Kafka and Spark structure go hand in hand. Some companies use Spark for their structured streaming. Some companies use Kafka or Flink. Uh, Kafka is more popular than Flink. So there is one more tool called as Apache Flink, um, okay, which can be used in place of Kafka. Then, as I told you about Snowflake, Databricks, AWS, Azure, GCP. Mostly companies are, not looking for someone having experience on all three of them. You can choose any one of them. Okay, if your current organization or your current project uses any one of the cloud, it is well and good. If not, um, I believe AWS is the go-to thing to explore if you're new to cloud. uh, Compared to GCP, AWS and Azure are better and are having bigger market share. So you can choose either one of them. Since last 1 and 2 years, Azure is also picking, some, bigger chunk of the market. So you can choose either AWS or Azure to learn about. Learn you can do a foundational certificate as well on either of these clouds, just to bring familiarity to to the cloud services. Okay. Um, and then Snowflake and Databricks. It depends. Many company uses Snowflake. Um, Many companies are using Databricks. You might find, like, if you go to the job description, some companies are mandating Snowflake as an experience. Some companies are mandating Databricks as an experience. You can choose either one of them. But these are all further topics to cover about, right? uh, As I said, the first screening round happens on SQL and Python. And in Python, the questions are there on libraries and data structures algorithms. You should, you know, uh, keep it as a practice to solve one or two problems from lead code, HackerRank, data lemur, straight scratch. So uh, these two, data lemur and straight scratch, are only having SQL problems, while lead code and HackerRank have both SQL and Python problems. Um, there is a I think free questions are limited, and then there is a premium price which will enable you to solve more problems on lead code. But yeah, you can at least start the free problems to solve. Um, Try to target easy problems first. Once you get into a habit of problem solving easy problems, go to medium, then hard, and stay on medium itself. Don't jump too hard because it will take a lot of time for you to solve. So don't waste time there, because it's not even asked in data engineering interviews. They are not so hard, that they'll pick lead code hard problems to give you. uh, Stay till medium. Try to solve easy first, and then uh, solve medium. Okay. uh, okay. And yeah, mock interviews, once you are done with your foundational learning and even advanced learning, you should take part in mock interviews. Because many times what happen, we go through the theory a lot, but when it comes to actual interview, actual problem solving in the interviews, we lag and we are not that much confident to solve problems. And at that time, mock interviews are going to help you in that. So take part in mock interviews. If you have any friend working the data engineering domain, well and good. If you have enrolled in any course, for example, there are many platforms, right, also helping you to take mock interviews. There's pre-plays there, like there are many you can find on internet. And if you take course here at Merit Short, you will be assigned a mentor, with whom you can conduct your mock interviews. Okay. And certifications, they are with regards to the cloud, Databricks, Snowflake. So you can do a fundamental. If you already have a fundamental certification, do a associate or medium level certification, and yeah, that should suffice. Okay, and now the next question is, I often get this question, like someone who is transitioning from a different domain to data engineering. For example, someone was a .NET developer, or just a Python developer, SQL developer, and he or she wants to make transition into data engineering. For them, the only thing I would say is, it it might take some time, and it will not be so easy to, you know transition from one domain to another, and get interview calls, because your resume will not have keywords um, suitable for the data engineering job description, right? So in that case, what is the best option to do? You search out any data engineering project in your own company, right? You might be working as a SQL Python developer, but there must be a, you know work stream, or a project where data engineers are working. If you have good networking skills, network with them, get a role into your own company as a data engineer first, and then once you have production level, experience in the data engineering domain, it will become easier for you to, build your resume first, and then, give interviews outside and pass, right? S- okay, so that is the thing. And the other thing which you can do is, build personal projects. You can, you know after learning all these topics, you can build personal projects for yourself. There are many free projects available on the internet. You can, take a look and implement them. Or if you take a course, within that course, there will be multiple projects, which the instructor will help you to do. So you can mention those projects, because somehow you have to mention those keywords, the keywords pertaining to data engineering domain. You have to mention them in your resume to get shortlisted, and, to get a call. That is the key thing, right? Any questions anyone having till this point?
Hello.
Yes, Sachin.
Hello.
Yeah.
Uh, Hello, Gaurav. I'm Sachin, and currently I'm working as a mean stack developer, and we also use MS SQL for a database. So now, with the 1 year of experience, I want to transit into the data engineering stream. Is
So
it
you
possible?
stack engineer, you
What should
said.
be the path? Yes, yes.
Okay. uh So the path, I've already laid it out. You see, this is the progression in which you should learn things, right? SQL you are already aware of, right? You can learn a NoSQL tool, right? Cassandra or MongoDB, any NoSQL tool you can learn. Then you can learn Python, because that is mostly used. There are other languages as well. Few data engineering projects are there on Java or Scala, but it's better to learn Python, and it's easier as well. That's why I mentioned Python, and it is like 75% companies are using Python only in their data engineering projects, right? Um, so I think this is what you should follow. Uh, these five topics, and then the remaining ones. If you are good with this, and I think now it's a great time you are making a switch. It's just been a year, you are working in your current role. You can easily make a switch. There will not be much difficulty, right? So you have to learn these topics. Okay, there are two ways. Either you scratch your own head and, discover what are the subtopics within each heading to learn about, or, you can enroll in any course and, get it sorted for yourself. But these are the topics, and these are just, high level things which I've mentioned. There are many subtopics within this, right? um, and yeah, you it depends then, what path you want. These are the topics. So Bharti has a question. Yes, Bharti. Obviously, anyone can make a transition into data engineering domain. Doesn't matter the experience. It's just that with growing experience, it becomes tough to build your resume. Since you have only 1 year of experience, it's easier to build your resume because anyhow, for for someone having 1 year of experience, no one expects you to build a very detailed resume, right? So it's easier. It's easier when you have less experience, and it becomes difficult when you, right? Okay. So Rizvi, two things that I told you about, right? For someone having less than 4 years of experience, you can just focus on these five topics. Just focus on these five topics, and yep, no one can stop you. For someone having experience more than for 4 to 5, they should also learn the second part of it, right? For someone having below 4 years, this is good enough because they don't expect you to be learning DevOps, learning, if you have cloud experience already, it's good. uh, if not, it's not very necessary, right? At last you can do a fundamental certification that will suffice, but these five topics are a must to learn. Okay. Hamza, okay. Day-to-day activity working as a data engineer. Okay. So I work with Mastercard. We started our project, with working on Hadoop. Basically, it's an on-prem, uh, framework, and now we are transitioning to AWS cloud. Previously, I had experience working with Azure cloud in my previous organization. I hold like working of around 3.5 years on Azure, and now we are working on AWS, right? So my day-to-day activities actually lies in building pipelines, building PySpark notebooks, which will perform the transformation, understanding how the end users or the downstream team are going to use the data. So on that basis, designing the database, implementing data modeling, data warehousing techniques, writing PySpark scripts, as I told you, for building pipelines, working with Hive, working with Hive managed table, working with Hive external table, validating the data, building data quality frameworks. Okay, so it revolves mostly around these five topics in my day-to-day life, right? Uh, and the further topics, since we are now migrating to AWS, uh, DevOps and AWS and Databricks are also now in picture, along with some bit of system design. We are not using Kafka much. We don't have Snowflake. So for me, it's so data engineering. See, let me introduce, like, not just introduce, let me brief you around what is expected out of a data engineer, right? So let's understand it from beginning. What happens when companies build their products or provide their services? It gets exposed to the users, right? For products, users, and for services also, there's some or other user who is leveraging that service, so that they get data from those users. For example, in Mastercard, there are different types of cards, right? There are corporate cards, there are you know for example, travel cards, for example, restaurant card. There are different types of cards, right? And they are associated with different banks, and end users are using those cards. What happens when they swipe their card or when they use their card on any merchant? We get information, we get data into our system, and that data is in raw format, right? Raw format means it's not properly structured. There are few gaps, few columns are not populated very well. There is no standardization done. Okay, and this raw data, what Mastercard wants out of us as a business, they want to learn about this data. Okay, just to understand the consumer behavior, right? So they want to understand this data in a standardized fashion. So maybe they want to build report on this raw data. maybe they want to build a pie chart, maybe they want to build a graph, something like that. So the business stakeholders who are actually running the business, they should be able to understand what is happening, right? When our products are launched into the market, how the users are using them, what are their reactions, what are their spend activities. So all this has to be learned from this raw data. So we take this raw data. So a data engineer is expected to take this raw data, transform this raw data into a, we call it gold layer or a curated layer, where it is fully, standardized, maybe aggregated, so that the report building becomes easier, right? So the data engine is meant to take this raw data, transform it through different layers, make it, curated, so that the data analysts or the machine learning people can build ML models on that final data, or they can build a reports out of that data, so that the stakeholders can see and take further business decisions. Yes, medallion structure. I'm talking about the medallion structures if I say the layers. Correct. And it's not every time a medallion structure, sometimes there's a different structure as well. So there is kappa, there is lambda, so there are different types of structures. Okay, medallion is the very popular one, but yeah, there are different layers. Okay, can you please recommend best resource for covering these topics? Uh, I don't have any list right now with me. But internet is flooded with information. You can, um like, there's way, like, you can take any course on Udemy, maybe here at Merit Short. It depends like how you want to be covered. Okay, best is, to take a course where, a mentor is there to guide you. Okay, and someone from a data engineering domain who can help you wherever you are stuck. Okay, so it's better to have a course from a certified place where you get mentor assistance as well, right? So these merit short people, I think, might be launching a course, will be good for you. Okay, I have read, yes, I have read books from O'Reilly Publisher. I have read the definitive guide on Kafka. I have learned Spark through O'Reilly books, and yep, they are very good. If you have time and you like reading books, you can for sure read the books from the O'Reilly publisher, right? So there are two books on Apache Spark, um, and there's one book which I have read on Apache Kafka, which was whose name is, I think, Learning Apache Kafka: A Definitive Guide. Job trends. Okay, are you asking about the impact of AI, or how data engineering jobs will be there in future? Okay, so see, ai is AI is actually built on the curated data. For example, people, nowadays have a misconception that AI is everything. AI can solve any problem, AI can give me any answer which I ask you. But actually, that is not true. AI is actually built on a, trained on a data which is perfectly curated, right? Like, if you give bad data to AI, the output will also be bad. Okay, so you have to give correct data to train your AI ML model, and then only it will, the GPT will give you data science switching to DE. Correct. Okay, yep. Let me cover that. So, if you don't give correct data to your model, it is not going to give you correct answer as well, right? So, data engineers are those who lay down the foundation of, you know AI and ML, because as I said, you right, we have raw data coming into our business, and this data has to be cleansed, this data has to be standardized, and then it has to go to the final layer on which the ML models can work, on which the ML models will be built. You cannot train your models your GPTs on the raw data, right? So in that sense, data engineers' job are relatively safer and are expected to grow in number because AI cannot do the work of data engineer, specifically. Although you can say the importance of coding will gradually go down because AI is good at coding. But if you think the data engineers who are having more than like 10 years of experience, 8 years of experience, who are working at an architect level, so from data engineer you go to data architect, right? So at that level, they become irreplaceable because they are the one who design the entire flow of how data has to be efficiently curated and on which the ML model has to run, right? So in that sense, their jobs are relatively safer than those of software engineers, than those of even data scientists. Okay, but we never know if in coming 20 years they come up with something else as well. But yeah, they are relatively safer than other, and they will even if they become irreplaceable, it will take some 5-10 years, less more than 5-10 years to actually train models like that. It's not going to happen any soon. At least 10-15 years. And still it will become, for those who are actually a good data engineer, who can who have good knowledge of system design, database design, distributed systems, they will still be irreplaceable. Only the entry level jobs, right? Someone who can just write SQL or someone who can just write some Python, they will become replaceable easily, right? Okay. How can someone get a data engineer and work as a support engineer 3 years? Sure. Okay. Let me read the second one as well. Okay. So Hamza, your question first. Um, See, you have 3 years of experience, right? You said, and in what domain are you working as a support engineer? Is it a data engineering project or is it a different kind of project? You can mute yourself and speak, I think. Okay. Okay. Okay, but it's a data engineering project, right? So for you, it should be much easier, right? Pretty much easy for you. Some banking clients different from data, non-data engineering. So your work does not revolve on data. And so what are the tools and technologies you use on day-to-day basis? What kind of tools and technologies you use on day-to-day basis? Okay, so meanwhile, Java, WNSP, Eclipse. Okay. So for you, as I said, right, as this slide is telling us, you can learn these 5 topics first. Okay, once you are good with these 5 topics, build a personal project. Uh, there is, you can search internet. There are a lot of projects available online for free on YouTube, on Kaggle, different websites which you can utilize to, maybe you can build a simple ETL first. Take some raw data, clean it through different layers. You use Python for that, use pandas for that. That should be a beginner level project. Then take one more ETL using Spark. Once you learn Spark, apply PySpark, apply transformations, then clean the data, aggregate the data, learn stuffs like that. So there are a lot of projects you can do. You can simply, basically, you have to build a ETL using all these technologies which we have talked about, right? Data engineers are meant to build ETL pipelines, right? ETL or ELT, right? So that's what you can do. But yeah, first learn these topics. These are the foundation ones. Okay, Sahil. So your question, product opportunity depends. See, depends mostly on what your current background, like current working experience is. If you are already working into, a good project, and it's all about, how your resume gets scanned through the ATS. Okay, automatic tracking system. So if you see a job description, right? What you can do, you can pick the keywords from those, from that job description, and if you have already worked on those technologies and tools, you can mention it in your resume. The higher your ATS score is, the better your chance to get a call. Still, the best way is referral. If you can get a referral, it's cherry on the cake, right? If you can get a referral from either of your friend, or by cold DMing people on LinkedIn, it's it's easy, it's quick, uh, it's better. But another scenario, you should always build your resume which should be high on the ATS score. Okay, so you can check. There are many websites who tell you what your resume's ATS score is. You can take help of those websites, see how your current resume is, what is its score. Um, if you want to improve it, you can learn, right, those things. So resume building is a very critical thing here, but it's not just resume building. Uh, it also depends what your current project is all about. If your current project, is not using uh, modern tools, let's say if you are still working with Java code or MapReduce code, not using any any cloud, then it can become a blocker for you. Okay, the very interesting question here. 90 days notice period. Okay, so I have struggled through this um, at some point of time in my life. Uh, it happens, it is true, and there's no easy escape from this. The only thing which you can do, uh, there are two scenarios in this. If you are very eager to, you know, like you cannot wait and you have to change company somehow or other, and if you have already learned everything, you have revised everything, you have got through your uh, mock interviews and all, if you think you are doing well, put your paper, and you should be able, if you can take that risk, right, you can put your paper, wait, and within those 19 days you should be able to get a job. If you cannot take that risk, um, mention 60 days in your job profile, that you have 60 days of notice period. uh, some trick you have to use, right? There's no other way. You can mention 60 days, let a call come to you, uh, get yourself interviewed, and interview in such a fashion that they become willing to hire you at any cost. And then you can mention that, like after getting the offer, that your manager wants to stay for long, you have to give KT, or you have to take a personal, time off, and then you want to join. You can apply multiple reasons, multiple excuses at that point of time, right? The only thing which blocks us is that when HR sees there is a 90-day notice period, they don't call you. So you have to kind of say a lie at that point of time. You can update your notice period to be 60 days, right? Or get referrals from your friends. If they refer you, and if they convince the hiring manager about you, they can consider. But yeah, it's a pain point, it's a big pain point. 90-day notice period. Yes, I understand. So Hamza, what I suggested earlier, if you have heard, it's better to switch to a data engineering project in your own company. It's easier to do so. If you have good networking skills, talk to your different managers who are working on a data engineering project, convince them to take you into that project. Maybe you'll have to give some interview, and that's how you can land. And once you are into a data engineering project, then it will become easier for you to search out and get you know into a different company. Recommend, I cannot recommend a course straight away. Okay, because I do mentoring. um but yeah, as of now I'll say, you know um there are two ways you can do a course. Either you can search internet, get a course on Udemy or some um, website and go through that, The other way, which is a sure shot and a better way to do it, uh, buy a course from such a place where you get a mentor help, right? Someone who is mentoring you, someone who is keeping a check on you, where you have to submit assignments, where you have to, you cannot just lay indefinitely and walk on your own pace, because that doesn't happen. Many people take the course and then it becomes like they become very lazy and they don't complete that on time, and it becomes indefinitely long to uh, you know to complete it, right? So get yourself a course where you have mentor assistance, where you are pushed to complete topics by either submitting assignments, by either attending live classes, something of that sort. It is much better than just buying a course which you can do on your own pace. uh, that's what my recommendation would be. No problem, Hamza. Is it fine, Sachin? uh I'm I'll not comment straight away. It's good, but but it is costly as well. So yeah, you might have to do more research and figure out, right? So yeah, because I cannot just recommend you to buy, you know, that costly a course, and so it's up to you. I can help you with, what are the topics to cover. Okay, so I was about to tell you about how the interview process takes place, right? So when an interview happens, the first thing I said, right, they will screen you on the basis of SQL and Python. The second round, right, will mostly be on your current working experience. If you're already from a data engineering domain, they will discuss what are your roles and responsibilities in your current project. They might also ask you questions around, you know, uh, ETL, questions around um, Apache Spark. Okay, those kind of stuffs will happen in the second round. Broadly speaking, there are 4 to 5 rounds of interviews, out of which three are kind of technical and one or two maybe HR or behavioral or case study based, right? Second round, as I told you, is mostly around ETL and distributed systems, Apache Spark. Okay, sometimes people ask questions on data warehousing as well. Third round, third round will mostly be, you know, around explaining database design, explaining system design, or one of the other topics. For example, if they are working extensively on Kafka, so they'll ask you questions on Kafka. If they are working extensively on Databricks, they might ask you questions on Databricks or Snowflake, something of that sort. But um, first round is sure shot to be SQL and Python. Okay, very rarely it happens that they ask you a Spark question. For example, I'll tell you about my experience of interviewing at Atlassian, uh, and interviewing at Microsoft as well. Okay. Atlassian, again, it started with the first round where they asked two SQL problems and one Python DSA problems. The problem on Python was utilizing a list, and the SQL problems were having questions on window functions and CTEs. The second round, they asked me questions around my current project. They asked me questions around Apache Spark, optimizing Spark jobs. That is a very critical part of it. So, efficiently using Spark, writing PySpark code, optimizing the data pipelines. All this was asked in the second round. Third round, they went ahead and asked more questions on Spark, data warehousing, data modeling techniques. Okay, those kind of questions are there. Fourth round, they asked me database design. They asked me some questions around system design, database design. That's how it was. So somehow I didn't go through the fourth round, but yeah, that's how it was. For Microsoft, again, the first round was mostly on Python SQL. They'll give you a Python problem to solve. Uh, you have to share your screen, write down the code, explain the approach to him. First, write down the brute force if you have already solved DSA problems. So the first way to solve any problem is by applying brute force. Um, you know, brute force approach, then an optimized approach, then the final approach. That's how it was the first round. The second round again was on ETL, Apache Spark, current project, those things. And they'll you know people don't understand, but actually the interviewee drives the whole interview. Whatever keywords you will speak in your interview, the interviewer is going to ask questions on those keywords. For example, if I say my current project involves tools like Apache Kafka, Apache Spark, and if I explain the whole ETL to him, what will happen? He will first ask me a question on Apache Kafka. Can you explain about this feature of Kafka? Can you explain the architecture of Kafka? Can you explain the architecture of Apache Spark? So always keep in mind whatever you are speaking in your interviews, all those keywords are going to hit back you. So be prepared, whatever you are speaking, you are going to be questioned at those points. Okay. The interviewer will dig deeper into those keywords. Right. So that is how you can prepare yourself. Any question, anyone? Okay, key certification that someone for sure have. Uh, Key certification, again, it depends. It depends in the case, like if you are applying to a job which uses the cloud platform, you can go ahead and do certification on any of the cloud. First do a fundamental certification, then do a associate level data engineering certification. Right, so for example, I have done certifications on Azure. So I did a fundamental DP 900, which is Azure Data Fundamentals, and then I did second one, which is DP 203, which is Azure Data Engineer Associate. Okay. um, the second very popular certification is about Databricks and Snowflake. Again, you'll have to choose which one you want. The only reason I'm kind of not saying or not encouraging doing certification is because they are very costly. Right, so the data engineering certificate, the Databricks certification cost will cost you around 26,000 for one exam, and if you don't pass it, again, a total loss. Right, so that's why I'm not encouraging a lot of a lot to do certifications. If your current organization supports you, uh, reimburses you if you pass certification, then it's good. If not, I'll say you can get the vouchers for free. Okay, fine. In that case, pick your cloud, either AWS or Azure. Do a fundamental and then a data engineer associate certification. uh, if you want to go further, do a Databricks certification or Snowflake. Again, you can choose, it depends. Doing both is not necessary. You can choose a Snowpro or Databricks data engineer associate certification. Okay. Fabric is good, but again, Fabric is not holding a lot of market share. That's why I didn't speak about it. It's good if you have done it because it involves Azure Synapse, it involves Azure Data Lake, into like and all those topics. So it's good if you have already done it. You can do the Databricks one. Fine. Okay. I think we are up on our time as well. Let me know if you have any more questions. I think we have 2 minutes remaining.
So I just want to take everyone's 2 minute. I want to talk here about Merit Shot's data engineering program. So I have seen most of you have asked about a program or course they should opt for. So one course that I would suggest, and also this masterclass is sponsored by Merit Shot. So Merit Shot's data engineering program is like for working professionals. It is an advanced data engineering course. It has mentors from top product-based companies as well. Uh, as also Gaurav suggested, that you should be considering courses where you get mentors to guide you through the process, help you with your like interview process, mock interviews and projects and everything. So I would want everyone to go through our website, go through the resources, go through the curriculum and everything. And one of our counselors will reach out to you tomorrow. And if you have any other doubts regarding the course, regarding the structure, regarding the fee structure or anything, you can just talk to the counselor. They will help you with this. So that's it.
Hi, sorry for interrupting. Hi,
Yeah, yeah, sure.
everyone. I am Jay Surya. So actually, I work in cards and payments industry.
Mhm.
Uh, so actually, currently, I'm working in a fintech company. But as of now, I'm just working with CloudWatch, uh, where it is a monitoring tool, and I have also built a dashboard for monitoring transactions as we are a cards and payments issuer processor company. So is there so I have some background knowledge about how fintech industry works and how cards and payments works and all the ISO things and all. So like if I do this data engineering course, how will my future will be like? What kind of role I can expect, and is
See,
there any opportunities will be given in Mastercard and somewhere like that?
sure, Jaswir. So it's a good thing to have, as a background. If you're already aware of the ISO standards, so you must also be aware of the DE elements, right? DE
Yeah,
13, the what DE 13.
D39 for success and
Okay, so it's good to have, but again, if you want to have a profile on data engineering, you should also be aware on those topics as well. So it's you have an edge over others, okay, because you understand the business knowledge, but you also have to equip yourself in on the technical front. So the topics which I told about in the masterclass, you
okay.
can learn those topics, prepare yourself, and yeah, I'm happy to help you with any referral if you want.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So
Um, Thank you on that part.
mhm.
And how long this course would be like?
Pawan will be able to answer that.
Yeah, the course is like 6 to 7 months long.
Okay.
So you can just go through our website and go through the curriculum once before you receive a call from our counselor, and then you can also prepare you any of your doubts if you have, and you can ask them, and they will help you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for the information. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem.